Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining us on this edition of News 2. I'm Sandra Gamansing. Topic on Newscast. A lot of business owners are certainly rejoicing as a major roadway on St. Thomas opened up midweek. Motorists can finally coast through the newly paved Brookman Road. We caught up with one business owner in that area who's extremely relieved. News 2's April Knight has that story.
Tanya Reyes is ecstatic about getting to see her regular customers again now that Brookman Road is fully open.
Oh yes, I'm so happy. That affected me a lot.
Tanya's shop took a temporary turn for the worse when Brookman, a major thoroughfare on St. Thomas, was closed down.
I lose about 70% of my customer because sometimes I sit here for 2 days and nobody come and do nothing. Sometimes I have customer come from town and tell me, Tanya, right now it's hard for me. If I come to you, I have to go around Esme Bay or Bolongo.
Tanya's beauty salon is just one of many businesses along Brookman Road that suffered since vehicular traffic was disrupted by major repairs going back several months. Back in May, heavy rains collapsed an entire section of the road, undoing the progress made by construction crews who were already working on it. The road became one lane due to repairs and worsened to being completely impassable. Progress was made a couple of months later when the same section opened one lane to traffic, easing the negative impact on businesses. On Wednesday, Brookman Road finally opened late in the afternoon. Business owners and residents who depend on the road still feel the relief of not having to go all the way around Smith Bay.
And the road so nice, looks so beautiful. And right now I'm happy. I think most people are happy too. Everybody happy too on the island.
Reporting for News 2, I'm April Knight.
Now, unfortunately, just after the road opened, a major vehicular accident occurred. These photos were taken by a Brookman Road business owner. At least 2 vehicles were severely damaged in what one witness described as a head-on collision. There is no official police report as yet. We are still awaiting word on the medical condition of the drivers and passengers involved. Beware, counterfeit bills are circulating through the territory. That's a message from the Economic Crime Unit of the VIPD. They say the counterfeit currency has been discovered in the denominations of $10, $20, $50, and $100 notes, with banking institutions and casino operators reporting an influx of complaints. The bills look and feel real. However, the only characteristic that may be used to determine that it's real or fake is through the color-shifting ink on the bill itself. If you receive any of these bills, you are advised to turn them over to the police. Contact the Economic Crime Unit for more information at 340-778-2211 on St. Croix or 340-774-3942 on St. Thomas. In other news, American Airlines is making some changes that are unpopular with residents and travelers leaving St. Thomas. Effective October 1st, anyone departing the Cyril E. King Airport on American Airlines will be expected to arrive 3 hours prior to the flight leaving. News 2's Erica Parsons has the story.
American Airlines' new departure changes are already making the rounds on social media, sparking warnings to people about not getting left behind from St. Thomas. Recently, travelers on American Airlines received a letter advising them that they should arrive at the Cyril King Airport a minimum of 3 hours prior to the scheduled flight departure. Those customers should also not delay their arrival to the airport if they learn their flight is delayed. The check-in counter will be closing 90 minutes prior to the flight leaving. American Airlines officials said in their letter that all senior airport management and regulatory agencies were notified, but it's news to the VI's Port Authority.
The Virgin Islands Port Authority has not received any official notification of that change from American Airlines.
American says these new changes are to make sure they leave on time and hit their connections. In fact, in the letter they said effective immediately, they will leave passengers and bags behind to leave on time. The changes only impact the Cyril King Airport, the 4th largest in the Caribbean. The new policy comes from top management at American, who say customer processing is inefficient and often delayed because of the large volume of traffic that passes through the St. Thomas Airport. Sandy, I'd imagine since this new policy is in place that they probably won't be giving any refunds to people who missed their flights. So I take this change very seriously. I did try to contact the American Airlines regional manager, but I didn't get a call back before news time.
Okay, thanks for that update, Erica. An American Airlines representative did respond by email with a written statement confirming the information we shared. They encouraged passengers to check in 24 hours in advance via their website or mobile app. On Tuesday, St. Croix students from Complex, Central High, and Reading Rainbow enjoyed a special opportunity to tour one of 4 Air Force II aircrafts used to fly Vice President Joe Biden, First Lady Michelle Obama, and other Obama administration cabinet members around the world. The tour was the result of a connection made with personnel at Bulky International Airways and the captain of a similar Air Force II aircraft that visited St. Croix last week. Both aircrafts, Boeing 757-200s, traveled to St. Croix as part of a one-day training mission for crew members to become familiar with the island, which is visited regularly by Vice President Biden. The VP was not on island at the time. The University of the Virgin Islands say they're one step closer to having the first 4-year physics and astronomy degree thanks to the award of a 5-year $2.7 million grant from the National Aeronautic and Space Administration, NASA. The grant is part of NASA's Minority University Research and Education Program. UVI is one of only 10 schools in the United States to be awarded the grant in 2015. That grant is designed to expand aerospace research and development and increase participation by faculty and students at minority-serving institutions. UVI says they'll use that grant to hire 2 new faculty to support the existing physics program, among other activities. Pope Francis made history as the first pope ever to address the United States Congress. The Pope arrived in the U.S. on Wednesday after a visit to Cuba, another first for the pontiff. We have reactions from Congresswoman Stacey Plaskett, who was part of that historic address.
Congresswoman Stacey Plaskett will never forget Pope Francis's historic address before the U.S. Congress Thursday morning.
Everyone kept standing up. It was really spectacular.
Plaskett and other members of Congress heard firsthand from the leader of the Roman Catholic Church, who made his first visit to the U.S. and doing what none before him did, address Congress.
Most of the members were either very solemn, and it ranged from almost a religious solemnity to some of the members to almost a giddiness that this great spiritual leader was going to take time to speak with us, to give us his thoughts.
The pontiff spoke of Congress's responsibility to help the U.S. grow as a nation.
We're in a very deep and complex society right now, that a place that's increasingly filled with violent conflict, hatred, and brutality, but that we here are representatives of the people that we represent. And in that, it's our responsibility to represent all of those people and to really build consensus and solidarity for the greater good.
Pope Francis addressed Congress in English, which isn't his native tongue, but his message about peace and treating others with the same passion and compassion we want was clear.
He talked about the golden rule, and to do unto others as we would have them do unto us. And then for members of Congress, he let us know that the yardstick that we use for others will be the yardstick which time will use for us. And I think that's really a charge for each one of us, and even in our communities, to really be mindful of how we safeguard what has already been fought for and the work that still needs to be done.
Erica Parsons, NEWS2.
And the Pope is presently in New York. The Pope's plane, Shepherd 1, was wheels up from Joint Base Andrews. And his next stop, of course, is New York City. In Washington, he focused on U.S. issues, but in New York, it's all about global affairs on the agenda. Chris Welch has the latest from Washington.
Rousing bipartisan applause for the first Pope ever to address a joint meeting of Congress. In his speech, he urged lawmakers to work together and help the powerless, namely immigrants and the poor.
The fight against poverty and hunger must be fought constantly and on many fronts.
The Pope did not shy away from controversial topics like climate change, calling on the U.S. to use its great innovation and leadership to avert disaster.
I'm convinced that we can make a difference. I'm sure.
After his speech, he passed a statue of Junipero Serra, the Spanish priest who he made a saint yesterday. Before leaving the Capitol building, he asked the estimated 50,000 faithful gathered outside to pray for the children, families, and himself.
I ask you, please,
que me deseen cosas buenas.
to send good wishes my way.
The Pope then saw firsthand some of the poor and homeless he spoke about. At nearby St. Patrick's Church, he blessed a lunch served to Catholic charity clients
Y buen apetito.
and said a prayer for the poor.
We can find no social or moral justification, no justification whatsoever for lack of housing.
Reporting in New York, I'm Chris Welch.
Again, that was the speech earlier today in Washington. Meanwhile, keeping our eye on the economy, here's the New York Stock Exchange with our stock market watch. As we can see, everything's down. The Dow 78, NASDAQ 18, S&P 500 down at 6. Coming up on News 2, it's all about the little children at the University of the Virgin Islands, where stakeholders gathered for the announcement of a major project focused on early childhood. Details coming up next. Welcome back. It was all about the little children on Thursday at the University of the Virgin Islands ACC building, where stakeholders gathered for the announcement of a major project focused on early childhood in the Virgin Islands. And according to organizers, the research-centered effort could be a game changer. News2's April Knight has more.
The youngest Virgin Islands children may soon benefit from educational programs that's the right fit for them. That's thanks to the VI Partners for Success project, a multi-agency partnership that includes UVI, Head Start, Human Services, the Department of Education, and the VI Childhood Advisory Committee. The University of the Virgin Islands is fully on board, along with the Department of Education.
We all know that early childhood education is critical, but I have witnessed a partnership and collaboration recently that I have not seen in my 6 years here, and I applaud that because in the long run, I know it will benefit the Virgin Islands.
We're going to do everything to ensure success for our children, and the foundation of life has to begin at that early age.
The project aims to conduct VI-specific research on what makes quality early childhood programs. In the Virgin Islands, early childhood education is far from perfect.
We know from the data collected by Kids Count through CFVI that half of our kids are getting to kindergarten and their language skills are below their age level. But, you flip that the other side, there's half the kids that are on age level. What can we learn from both sets of kids?
And the project doesn't end on paper. The data will be actively used in making sure VI children receive all the advantage that they can get early in life. Reporting for News 2, I'm April Knight.
Well, just a quick note, Senator Terrence Positive Nelson says due to Judge Julio Brady's funeral services, the peace rally meeting that was scheduled for tomorrow, Friday, has been rescheduled for Monday, September 28th in the Senate President's Conference Room at 9 a.m. He says also note that a community meeting for the public to take part in discussing resolutions to the increase in crime is also scheduled to take place on Wednesday, September 30th in the Great Hall Room at UVI from 5:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. The Family Resource Center is preparing for the start of events for Domestic Violence Awareness Month in October. Meanwhile, National Day of Remembrance for Murder Victims will be held on Friday at 5:30. Join members of the community on the waterfront apron near Greenhouse Restaurant as they remember loved ones lost to violence in our territory this year, and they will release red roses in the St. Thomas Harbor. They are requesting attendees wear red and black. Well, are you ready for a night out? Well, this outing involves the entire community for a great cause. The Law Enforcement Planning Committee, the Virgin Islands Night Out Committee, and the VI Prevention Council have all teamed up to promote peace as they present VI Night Out from Friday to Monday. The annual event kicks off on Friday with Spiritual Night at 7 p.m. at Emancipation Garden. Then on Saturday, the parade and march will be held from 5 p.m. It all begins at the Emil Griffith Ballpark to Emancipation Garden. Then they have planned a moment of community healing on Monday with Hands Locked Together for Peace. That's at 5:45 p.m. across from the Fort Christian parking lot. All civic, nonprofits, school groups, clubs, government agencies, all are welcome to participate. You are asked to wear white and bring flowers. This Friday, you have an opportunity to look closer into mental illness in the territory. The Disability Rights Center of the Virgin Islands will show the documentary Forgotten in Paradise. That's this Friday, 5:30 p.m. at the Paradise Covenant Church. The film traces the history of mental illness in the Virgin Islands. Here's more.
It shows the history of mental health services within the Virgin Islands from practically 1932 to the present time. And it's relevant in that the fact that the mental health system has deteriorated to such an extent that many people who suffer mental health crisis end up in jail as opposed to a therapeutic or a rehabilitative services type of setting.
Those that are on the streets, we forgot them in such a way that we don't even think about that could have been us. This is not just for church or Paradise community. This is for everyone so that we can educate ourselves.
Be sure to check that out. Now, the 8th annual Project Homeless Connect, sponsored by the United Way of the Virgin Islands and the Department of Human Services event, is scheduled for Friday, November 13th, so you can mark it on your calendar. That one will be on St. Croix at the Rudolph Schultebrand Market Building, and then Friday, November 20th on St. John at the Department of Human Services, and then Friday, December 4th on St. Thomas at the University of the Virgin Islands Sports and Fitness Center. However, presently they are looking for volunteers to sign up. So contact the United Way office. That number is 340-774-3185 on St. Thomas and 340-714-3158 on St. Croix. Well, be prepared, keep safe. Even the experts find it difficult to predict hurricane activity for the Caribbean. The September 24th VI Lottery ticket is filled with reminders on how to protect yourself, your family, and even your pets from the start of hurricane season, which we are in, that began on June 1st through the last day on November 30th. Are you the winner? Here are the winning numbers that were drawn early today.
The VI Lottery presents draw results of today's drawing on NEWS2. Here are the top prizes. Fifth prize for $20,000, 18681. 18681. Fourth prize for $30,000, 25898. 25898. Third prize for $40,000, 04010. 04010. Second prize for $65,000, 24274. 24274. And the winning ticket number for the grand prize of $175,000 is 10632. 10632. If your ticket number wasn't called, keep trying. One of these days, your number could win. The next drawing is October 8th. Play the VI Lottery and imagine the possibilities.
And good luck as you check those tickets. Now, just a quick reminder, Main Street, St. Thomas will be closed to vehicular traffic beginning at 8 a.m. on Friday, September 25th, and that's in preparation for St. Thomas Eats, a food truck fete that begins from 4:30 to 8 p.m. Downtown Revitalization Inc. invites residents, visitors, and everyone to come downtown, and your favorite food bands from around the island will be there. There will even be a People's Choice Award and live entertainment. Stick around. NEWS2 AccuWeather forecast comes your way next.